I got seemed to apply to a lot of things, but what they actually applied to was in the 1900s when the first cars were made. That was where those points came from, the complaints. And now cars are an integral part of society. Cars are, I don't know if you can imagine a society without automobiles. So those complaints were about automobiles. Automobiles were very dangerous for children. If you think about the roads back then, the roads with horse and buggies and everything, the roads were not made for automobiles. They were made for horses and buggies and children to play in and to walk across. There were no crosswalks, no traffic signals, no anything. And when the automobile came around, it became very dangerous. A lot of what happened with automobiles, a lot of the dangers from automobiles related to children, getting hurt, a lot of fatalities. So we needed some rules. Here's some early rules. Some of them are a bit ridiculous. Automobiles traveling on country roads at night must send up a rocket every mile, bottle rockets. Then wait 10 minutes for the road to clear. The driver may then proceed with caution, blowing his horn and shooting off Roman candles as he travels. Okay? Actual law. Here's another one. If the driver of an automobile sees a team of horses approaching, he's to stop, pull over to the side, and cover his machine with a blanket or dust cover, which is painted or colored to blend into the scenery. So you have to pull over and let the horses go by. And if the horse won't go by, you have to take your car apart and put it in the bushes and conceal it so that the horse won't get scared of your car. Can you imagine doing that now? So we came up with some different things. We came up with some ways to control, ways to give guidelines to give safety. We came up with stop signs, yield signs, pedestrian crossings, school crossings, stop signs. And on the internet, we have GoGuardian. GoGuardian is our stop sign. We use that here at Riverside. And what GoGuardian does is it acts like the police. It will alert us if somebody's doing something inappropriate, if they're on their computer when they shouldn't be. It's like the police for the internet. So we do have a way of checking what people are doing. We do have a way of enforcing what people are doing, like stop signs and red lights. A sign that I found in Scotland when I was over there about a year and a half ago, which did not give me a lot of confidence: oncoming vehicles in the middle of the road. That did not make me feel very safe. Okay? So that one was a little bit useless. What did we do after we came up with all these stop signs and guidelines and roads and crosswalks and all the stuff that we tried to do to make traffic and automobiles safer? We decided we should probably start teaching people how to drive. Every state came up with some kind of rules for how they license people to drive an automobile. Driver's education is taught in schools. You have private companies that teach driver's ed. You have a lot of different ways to make things easier to teach people how to use cars, because we're not going to eliminate them from society. So if we're not going to eliminate them from society, we've got to make it safer for people. We've got to make it where people understand how to be safe, what the guidelines are, how to stay out of trouble when they're driving a car. And just like we have educated drivers, let me go back. Here's some of our social media. Some of the same complaints that we had earlier, now we're hearing about social media. So we're having some of the same problems. It's dangerous for children. We need guidelines. We need safety. What are we going to do? So we've come up with GoGuardian. We've come up with all these other checks and balances. But we haven't had an equivalent of driver's ed. But the Social Institute, which is what we're talking about, acts like that, acts like driver's ed for the internet. Here's how the lesson runs. Here's the interface, and we're not going to spend a whole lot of time going through a whole bunch of the lesson, but this is a family orientation lesson. It talks about what the lesson is. This is what the kids would see when they have a lesson in class. The instructor can demo a lesson or host a lesson. We're going to demo this one. Use it. This is supposed to make things easier. I'm used to using a mouse. Me and touchpads don't get along. Well, after all that's done, the kids will come in and they have this code. Now, if you have internet access in here on your phone, you can go to winamsocial.com/join and type in that code. And it'll give you an interface just like what the boys have on their Chromebook when we're running lessons for them. Oh. Of parents are concerned about their child's use of technology. I'm not going to read this slide to you. What that's this. So let's get into the lesson. How important is modern life skills education? What it does, it gives you the question, it gives you some time to think about it. And then it says group chats, misinformation, online gaming. It says how much time do you think students spend each day for entertainment purposes? And then it'll give us the answers. How many of you think, well, I went a little bit too fast, 8.5 hours. 8.5 hours is the amount of time most students use for non-educational purposes on the internet. That is a lot of time. That's a lot of time, 8.5 hours. So what are they doing? What are they doing when they're on there? A lot of it is social media. In the world, you can see that most people thought that the answer was 6.7 hours. But the correct answer is 8.5. We have what we're called huddles when they're in these lessons. And what this is where you'll have a discussion question up here, and then you let the cadets get together and talk about it. When they're running these lessons, about 80% of the time, they're not looking at their screens. It's called eyes up. Most of the time, they're away from their screen, talking about things. This isn't designed just to build social skills online or be safer online. It is that, but it's also social skills when you're not online. How to interact with people, how to have proper etiquette, things to do when you're not online. How does equipping students with modern life skills align with our school's mission and values? I think, I know for me that seems sort of self-evident with the mission of Riverside and what we try to do in order to keep people safe and try to have proper values. Which of these would you rank top? Staying in control of our personal info and privacy online. Striking a balance with tech and focusing on our priorities. Following and learning from positive role models, or mastering techniques to handle stress and everyday pressures. I don't think anybody can be wrong by ranking one of those at the top, but this is another way to get people talking about what's going on online. Answers are locked in if you were actually participating. And worldwide, staying in control of our personal info and privacy is what people are most concerned with. So then you could lead us, the kids, into a discussion about that. And I don't know why I'm not getting any sound. work yesterday when I came up here and practiced it, right?
With numbers ranging from 1 to 100. Hi, I'm Laura Tierney, founder and CEO at the Social Institute. Now, the topics that were just on the screen are just a few examples of what you're going to be discussing as your class navigates WIN at Social this year. And I want to dive in a little bit deeper into one of those topics, striking a balance. And I wanted to run with you a quick exercise that I ran when I was 16 years old. For a little bit of background, I was a student athlete growing up. I played with Duke and Team USA, and with the US team, we were training out in California one year, and our head coach put this same exercise in front of all of us. Here's how it works. It's called the concentration challenge. And you're going to have a 10 by 10 grid in front of you with numbers ranging from 1 to 100. Your job is to try and count to the highest number possible, starting at the number 1. So see number 1, 3 rows from the bottom, then you have to find the number 2, then 3, then 4, then so on. But here's the challenge. I'm going to be playing the role of technology, doing my best to distract you as you're trying to get to the highest number possible. And you're going to have 60 seconds. Now before we dive in, think to yourself, what number do you want to try and count to within 60 seconds? Got it? All right, let's go ahead and get the new grid up on the screen. All right, ready, set, go. And take 60 seconds to discuss as a class who got the highest score.
Anybody get past 20? 10? 15? Okay, let's see what happens there.
4. And any strategies that you used. Then we're going to run this exercise one more time. All right, now through WIN at Social, we're going to have a chance to have conversations about important skills like the ability to balance technology in our life. And so let's imagine that your class had an awesome discussion. You talked about focus mode and the power of limiting distractions. And so I want to run this exercise with you one more time. And this time, imagine that we turn on focus mode, so you're going to have 0 distractions. We're going to get a new grid up on here, and you're going to have 60 seconds to try and beat your last score. All right? New grid on the screen. Let's do this. Go. All right, well, thanks for playing, and hopefully you beat your last score. In a moment, you're gonna have a chance to huddle together as a class. No teachers, you could facilitate this.
Anybody beat their last score? Okay, without the distractions, it's a lot easier to try to get to where you want to get, right? You can actually pay better attention. So, I'll admit I didn't play.
This is one larger discussion amongst the whole group, or maybe have smaller breakout groups. And remember, your goal is simply to have a conversation that incorporates everyone's perspectives and ideas. Thanks again for playing. We'll see you soon.
Here's where you would have a talk about what happened and have a discussion with the cadets. We talked about that. Which strategy will you focus on to engage your child in the conversation? Ask open-ended questions to encourage more dialogue. Allow your child to lead the conversation and coach up. Approach the conversations with an open mind, or set up a consistent, predictable time to huddle together as a family. Now think about which of those you think would be the most priority, and we'll look at what the worldwide answers have been. Since we're not playing, we don't see anything. But worldwide, the most important one has been approach conversations with an open mind. So having an open mind when you have conversations with your children about what to do online is very good. The reality is that for us being social, for my generation especially, being social was face-to-face communication, maybe a little bit of landline communication, writing letters, that kind of thing. For today's children, being social includes social media. It's not just a fad, it's part of the fabric of who they are. Just like automobile is part of the fabric of society. And we need to be able to teach them how to use it properly, just like we had to teach people how to use the automobile properly. So, go to the next one. This talks about how often families should run their family huddles. I'm going to skip through a little bit of this. Here's one here's a scenario that the children might get in their class. It says, imagine you're on the school bus for a field trip and one of your friends falls asleep on the bus. A few classmates laugh and start taking embarrassing photos of your friend using their devices. What do you do? And there's 4 choices up there. And the cadets would have a chance to pick which one they thought was the one that they would do, and then afterwards we'll have a discussion about that. Wake your friend up so classmates can't capture any more photos. Tell your classmates to cut it out. Change the subject to take the attention off your friend, and try not to draw any more attention to your friend. Okay, so those are the choices. And worldwide, the most frequent answer was, tell your classmates to cut it out and tell your friend about it when they wake up. Second choice, wake your friend up so classmates can't capture any more photos. And then nobody said try to draw any more attention to it.
Hey, I'm Gabriella. I'm a sophomore. If I were in this situation, I would tell the people videoing to cut it out, and then I would tell my friend what had happened, because when I was in this situation a little while ago, people had taken my picture while I was asleep, and when I found out, I was really scared that I would be embarrassed because they would post the embarrassing pictures online, and I hate having embarrassing pictures online, but some people really don't care. So I think it's up to the person who's in the picture as to what happens to that picture. I chose to delete it, but some people wouldn't care if it was posted, but you just need to ask before you do anything.
Another quick huddle would be, why do you think people do those kind of things? And what are the effects if somebody does something like that? And then that's an example of what a lesson it would be. Like for the boys, it'd be a whole lot more action, a whole lot more questions, a whole lot more for them to talk about, but that's just a taste of what they would experience. Let me escape out of this. And the last thing we're going to look at, and this is really your resource. This is the part of this that's really for you. This is the family toolkit, the parent toolkit, where you have resources that you can use. And this one tends to be a little bit slow coming up. I apologize for the slowness of the technology. We're almost done. And after clicking login a couple of times, it's probably going to tell me that I don't need to log in because I'm already in. Okay, here we are. We have playbooks, family huddles, and wall of wins. Family huddles, it just gives you some topics to look at. You can see that it's broken down by grades over here, and you can see exactly what a family huddle does. Here's the Social Institute standards, and if you want to talk about each one, play into your core, reflecting our values, protect your privacy like you're famous, strike a balance, this is controlling your time online, cyberback, not bullying each other, protecting other people that are getting bullied, find your influence. There's a lot of social media influencers out there. Who do you let influence you? Use your mic for good. What you say and do online, or are you using it to harass other people who are doing good stuff? And handle the pressure. Find your own path no matter the pressure from others. You know, there's a lot of pressure out there to do and say things. So you have a lot of different huddles. Let's look at grade 9 real quick. Dealing with disagreement, upgrading your privacy settings, debating tech giants, all kinds of different discussions you can have at home that you can use to try to make a safer environment online. Let's go back up. The one that's really, I think, interesting is the playbooks. And what the playbooks are is basically a guide to any app that you can find, any social media app. Like TikTok. Let's look at what it says about TikTok, what a playbook does. It gives you a rundown of exactly what TikTok is. It talks about how students are using this app positively. What are they doing that's a good thing? How they're getting tripped up by TikTok. What's going on that's bad? Can you buy stuff in this app? Are there ways to spend your money? Features to be aware of. What settings are there? Some examples of TikTok in action. Minimum age, if there's one set by the app maker. And here's some things people do to actually make it better, to use TikTok better. Some settings that you could have. And then there's examples of strong settings, and then there's some more resources at the bottom. So for every app that's a social media app, you can find a playbook on here, and you can use it to look and see how to set up your settings and how to get your son or daughter at home to set up their settings. This is an alphabetical list. You can look at group messaging. So there's all kinds of group messaging apps here, and it'll give you the same thing. How do you set up your settings? What's wrong with it? Can you use it for good? Just different. Discord's one that is a little bit famous. A lot of negative things going on there. GroupMe, we use at my church, actually, we use that to stay in touch. But those are what playbooks do. You can use the playbooks to actually make your phone safer, make your child's phone safer, so they can use these apps, but be safe and be aware of what's going on around them. Go back over here. And then the last thing, in order for you to have access to this, you need to do this. And I've made this sort of big, so maybe you can take a picture of it. I think this information went out. It was attached as a flyer to a family newsletter that went out, but I wanted to put it up here again. You go to socialinstitute.com, Parent Toolkit, click on Activate Account, and then that's our unique code here for Riverside Military Academy. Once you do that, you'll have your account set up, you'll have access to all the stuff that I showed you, and you'll be able to have these huddles and use these playbooks and talk about how to stay safe. Do your driver's ed for the internet with your sons and daughters. So hopefully what we went through helps. Hopefully it makes things a little bit easier for you, give you a little more peace of mind. We are actively using these tools here at Riverside, along with Go Guardian. We've still got the cops, but we're also teaching driver's ed. Okay, so we've got both parts of it. So just know that we're doing the best we can to keep your sons safe and to take care of them here physically and online. Okay. And that's all I have. Does anybody have questions? I forgot that one.
Go Guardian, is that a software?
I'm sorry?
Go Guardian, is that a software y'all offer, or is it just y'all use it here?
Which one's that? Go Guardian?
Yeah.
Go Guardian is loaded on their Chromebooks automatically.
Okay.
One of the things I do every morning is download the history from the night before, and I look for evidence of cadets trying to bypass Go Guardian during the night. So we keep them on Go Guardian. We make sure that it's constantly tracked, and they cannot use their Chromebooks without us being able to see what they're doing online.
Okay.
So it's mandatory. That's why we don't allow other devices, because other devices like an iPad or something like that, we wouldn't have Go Guardian on, so we would lose that ability to monitor what's happening. Cell phones are a different thing. They get cell phones when they're not in school. At night, the TACs have them during the day, and before they go to bed at night, the TACs will take them back up. So it's basically from the end of school until time to go to bed, they have their cell phones. We have not. We haven't found issues. When we do, we take care of it really quick. But we haven't found any issues. Most of the issues we find are stuff that they're doing with their Chromebooks. So they can't have cell phones in classrooms, all that stuff. We restrict the time they have it, so it minimizes the amount of problems that they have and the distractions that come from it. Ellen, you have a question.
It just looked like in the beginning those lessons might be something that academics is working through with some cadets, and I don't know if this person I've seen it. So is this really a resource that parents would work with their cadets at home?
Yeah,
Or
real quick.
is it something that's being taught?
Yeah, we have enrichment time built into the calendar, and once a month on probably the last Friday of each month, we'll run a lesson. There's a calendar, there's a national calendar that comes out from the Social Institute that sort of guides the lessons for that month. And each lesson is tailored for different grade levels. I don't know if you saw when I was selected, you had to select what grade level you're teaching so that the lessons are tailored. A 6th grader is not going to get the same lesson as a 12th grader. It'll cover the same core value, but it's not going to have the same exact content. So it'll be a little bit easier for them to understand. But yeah, we cover them during what used to be mentoring time, but now it's called enrichment. So yeah, these are lessons that we go through in a structured way. Kelly's got a bucket of paper here.
I'm going to draw a name for the fan, but you must be present to win, so it might take me a second. Thank you all for coming out today. Thank you for making the choice to send your son here, and I'm very proud of you for doing that. And I'm also super proud of the boys. They worked really hard for this 30 days, and I know that you are super proud of them too. And I hope that you will email me when you get home after a couple days and let me know what changes you've seen. And then I think that you all will find something that you notice is different about them in a positive way. So thank you all for coming. Okay, drum roll. All right. Miss Aldridge, she was here, did she leave? Okay, Miss Aldridge. Moving on. Let's see. Jennifer Warren. Yay! Okay, so the checkouts are at the West Portal at the Parent Welcome Center. When you go out the front door, go down the stairs to the right, and you will see the big open area, and the Parent Welcome Center is there. There's also, I'll always have food. There's also snacks in there, so you can grab a drink and stuff while you're waiting. So thank you all for coming.